So today's story is about sex, drugs, fights, and a Christian camp. How in the world do those things go together? Well, you're about to find out. So it was a few years ago. I was serving on a summer youth camp for a week. We go up north, and some of my good friends were there. And every night, after all of the festivities are done, we would gather together with about 7 or 8 of us, and we would play some board games. Where is my pen? Where in the world is my pen? It's in my lap. Okay, so we would play some board games. One of these board games is called Secret Hitler. If the editor could put a picture of that on the screen, that would be amazing. Just kidding, I'm the editor. I will have to do that if I want to. So we're playing Secret Hitler, and it's this little tent. So we're in this tent, and there's 3 tent walls, and there's one just kind of opening, and we're sitting in a bit of a square with couches and chairs, and then there's a table in the middle, and we're playing the game. Anyway, we've got 2 large tents set up for our team. So our team's about 40, 50 people. We're in one of the large tents in a small segment, and there's another large tent where we're having our meals and our dinner and stuff. And there's a fridge in there. And I am a fiend for junk food. So the day before, I've bought some chocolate and I put it in the fridge. And right about now, I'm starting to get peckish. So I say, guys, hold my beer. I'm going to grab my chocolate. So I head out. I go out to this other tent and I grab my chocolate out of the fridge. And I see this tent is also open from both sides. So I'm walking in one side, and through the other side is this man that I've never seen before. And he's tall, and he's hooded, and he's got a backpack. He's taller than me. And I look at him and I say, "Oh, g'day, what's going on? Can I help you?" Because he's kind of in our campsite area. And I don't remember the details of what he was saying, but he was asking for some food. So I looked around and I found a fruit bowl and I gave him an orange. And I said, "Okay, no worries. Let me help you out. I'm on a Christian camp, for Pete's sake. Let me help people out a little bit." So I give him a piece of fruit. He doesn't seem like he's all completely there, if I'm being honest. And I say, "Okay, well, I'll give him some fruit. Hopefully he enjoys that and he can take off and not disturb anyone." So I leave the tent thinking everything's all good. Sweet. I come back in and it was quite a weird interaction, but I don't say anything to the group. I just slot back in, start chowing down on my Oreo chocolate, and I'm just having a blast. Then about 5 minutes, maybe even 10 minutes later, I've kind of forgotten about it. This man just pulls up behind us. So we're in a tent. We're kind of boxed in with 3 tent walls, and he walks in from behind. So if you can imagine that, he has ambushed us essentially, and he's boxed us in. I get a look at this guy, and he does not look sober, to say the least. He's got glassy red eyes. He looks down at us, and we've got some ladies, some pretty attractive young ladies with us playing this game. None of which were attracted to me. That's another story. But he has a look, and he starts to talk to us, and he says, "Hey, can I join in a very odd and kind of suspicious way?" And so I look at him with recognition. I'm like, "Okay, cool. We've just bonded before. He'll recognize me, and maybe I can help him out here. We don't want this to go any further than it needs to." So we say, "Oh, maybe you can watch because we're in the middle of a game." So he starts watching, and he puts his bag down and he unzips it and he reaches into his bag to grab something out. And now my friend, his name is Tim. He's probably about 8 years older than me. So he was kind of the senior supervising. I was about 20. He was probably late 20s. And he has a look and sees this guy's reaching into his bag. And he's thinking, who knows what in the world is in that bag? So our setup, like I said, we've got a circle of kind of chairs, and actually at the front entrance we have a couch facing inwards. So the three walls and the couch is facing inwards. So he's standing behind the couch, and my friend Tim is sitting on the couch. And as soon as he sees this guy reach his hand into the bag, he jumps over the back of the couch and kind of says, "Oh, we don't need to worry about that. Let's not pull whatever was coming out of that bag out." And I totally get where he's coming from, because who knows? He could have had a knife, he could have had a gun. He did not look like he was fully there, and so we're taking precautions. Me, I was sitting there just chilling out, and I wasn't worried because I knew that I had just given this guy an orange. So I knew, okay, he's probably just pulling out his orange to take a snack. And lo and behold, he pulls out an orange. I say, okay, yeah, no worries. He's no big deal. He's nothing to worry about. But my dear friend Tim has just jumped over the couch and is now looking at him. And this triggers something within this either drunken or drugged man. And he just looks at this guy, Tim. He looks at the girls playing games with us. And he starts throwing out these insane claims. So he starts looking at these ladies, and the first thing he says is my friend Tim jumps over, and he looks at him and he says, "Whoa, what are you, a ninja or something? You're trying to attack me." So immediately he gets defensive. And we're like, okay, this is ramped up. So in this group, by the way, there's about 7 or 8 of us. There was three dudes, 4 if you count one, but he was a young fellow, he was probably 14 or something. And then there was about 4 or 5 girls. And we had, I think, maybe one. The sister of this guy is about 16. The rest of them are over 18. And we had one of the girls was laying on a second couch. So we had 2 couches. She was laying on this couch and she was asleep. And so he has a look and he takes this all in. And then he says, "What are you doing to these girls?" And we're thinking, where is he going with this? What is this about? And he starts saying stuff like, "These are my people. These girls are my people. And you are..." And he turns to my friend Tim, right? This is a youth leader at a camp. And he starts accusing him of sleeping with all of these girls. And he's come to step in and protect the girls from Tim. Okay, so this girl wakes up, everyone's looking, and all of the girls can hear this. And they are just like in silence. What in the world is going on? So I look at my friend Ben, who's the other one of my mates there. And we jump up, and I'm thinking this is going to be fine. We'll defuse it. We'll just take him outside of the tent. We'll get him away from the girls, and we'll be able to defuse it outside. So we both slowly get up from our seats, and we say, "Come on, let's go for a little walk." So we take him out of the tent, and the girls are just sitting there paralyzed. By the way, we've got probably about 40, 50 campers in this camp, but this is about midnight. Everyone's asleep. So we walk out into the center of our campsite. We are surrounded by tents of families with little kids, parents, teenagers, all sorts, and they're all asleep. Okay, so we realize this guy is not okay. He's on some kind of drugs, and if he makes one move, then everyone is going to wake up and he'll probably send all of us home. The camp will probably be over because it's no longer safe. But we're looking at him, and Ben and I are getting more and more worried because we're looking at this guy and he seems to have it out for Tim. No matter what Tim says, he is continuing to go after him. And it actually gets to the point where he's walking towards Tim. Tim is backing up. He's walking backwards and he's saying, "Bro, I've never been in a fight before. I'm a peaceful guy. I don't have any problem with you. And I don't want to, I don't want to hurt you. And he is continuing to approach Tim. He's walking closer and closer, and he's making these outrageous claims. These are my people. What are you doing sleeping with my people? Um, what is going on back here? And it's just meant we're thinking, what the heck is going on? So I quickly realize, okay, clearly Tim is the problem. Well, I shouldn't say that. He did nothing wrong. But in this guy's eyes, Tim is the source of his issues. He's got the biggest problem with Tim. So I look at him and he's backing up. Tim's backing up. He's moving forward. And he starts to clench his fists by his side. And I'm like, man, we are going to have to pounce on this guy. Like, if he goes to swing at Tim, we're going to have to pounce on him and try and keep him bloody quiet. Because if he yells out, all of the parents are going to wake up, all the kids are going to scream, and camp's going to be cancelled. And this is about halfway through the camp. So we're thinking we are going to have to act quickly. It was like we were on the brink of an explosion, and any slight move may trigger the explosion. And Ben and I are kind of on his side, and Tim's in front, and he's walking towards Tim. Tim's backing up, and we're kind of guiding behind him. And I say, frick it, I'm taking a risk. So I put my hand on his shoulder. And I know they say you don't do this. I put my hand on his shoulder, and he slowly turned to me. Thankfully, he wasn't violent. Because I figured, this guy sees me as an ally. He sees me as a friend because we had a prior interaction. I gave him an orange, and from that point on, we were good. He hadn't been aggressive to me the whole night. So I figured, I'm going to put my hand on this guy's shoulder. I'm going to try and get his attention, and I'm going to try and take him away from Tim. And that was my strategy. I said, hey man, why don't you come for a walk with me and Ben, and we can talk about it. So he looked at Tim, he looked at me, he looked at Ben, and he agreed. And so right away, Tim went back in, checked on the girls. We took him for a little bit of a walk and just said, you know what, everything's going to be okay. We will sort things out here. You don't need to worry. We want you to just have a peaceful night, and we want you to go in peace. So we were talking to the guy. He came around to it, and we kind of walked him out of our campsite and said, all right, you have a good night. We'll see you later. So he goes off. Then we go back to Tim and we say, bro, you need to go to sleep, because if he comes back and he sees you out, he is going to try and knock your head off. So Tim resists. He's like, no, it's not safe. I want to stay up, try and be the hero. And we said, nah, we're going to be the heroes, mate. You can go to sleep. So he goes to sleep. And then Ben and I, we put out 2 camp chairs. All the girls go to sleep. We pull out 2 camp chairs, and we're sitting and we're just debriefing. We're praying. We're thanking God that nothing crazy went down. And we stay up for another hour, just in case he comes back. And nothing. So we're chatting, we're praying, we're bonding. We have a few laughs. We get in our swags. And our swags are next to each other like this. And we see a figure coming out of the tent, which is probably about 30 meters away, down towards the toilet block. And there's kind of a light shining from the toilet block. And we see this figure coming out of our dining tent. We say, okay, who is that? And we have a look, and it's the silhouette of this young girl. And she looks like one of the girls from our camp. Saying, oh, yep. Okay, she must be just going to the toilet. So we just poke our head out and we say, okay, so he's not returned. Let's just see that she's okay. I kid you not. Our swags are like this. He walks. Our heads are coming out. He walks in between our swags and is making a beeline for this girl from our camp. and we like look at each other, mouths dropped open, quickly unzip our tents. Thankfully, he didn't see us. We unzip our swags, we jump out, and we run over to this guy because we think he is about to go and do something to this girl from our camp, who's probably about 16. We get there and we find out that the girl is actually not the girl we thought it was. We have a look at her face in the light, and she is just some random girl. So, okay. So we start talking to her, and we're getting a feeling, okay, who is this person? What's going on? She says to us that she's staying in the camp. So the same campsite as us. She was just at the opposite end. And she starts questioning us quite aggressively. And she's saying, what the heck is going on here? I got told that there is a Christian camp down here, and there are people sleeping with underage girls. And she used some other words which I won't use. And she was quite heated. So she had been told a story and she'd believed it, and she came down to investigate it. And Ben and I look at each other and we realize she's been told a story by this guy, because the guy's come back, right? The guy's standing beside her and he's looking at us. And thankfully, he's not aggressive. He's being quite friendly to us this time. And we realize that this girl is sober. She's in her right mind and she is genuinely concerned. So we plead with her and we say, look, nothing sus is going on here. Everything is above board. There's been a misunderstanding, and you don't need to worry about anything. And we went into the tent. We showed her Secret Hitler. We showed her the tent. We showed her the whole situation. And glory to God, praise God, she believed us. And so this guy is starting to show his true colors. Every now and then we will try and talk to him and, keep it friendly. And he'll have a laugh and he'll shake our hand, and then he just snaps and he'll start swearing at us and he'll start calling us names, and he'll start being very aggressive. So he's teetering between these two personas. And we said to this chick, suddenly we're worried about her, because this guy, we find out, this guy had walked up to her camp. She was just sitting outside of her campsite. And this guy had walked up to her and had told her the story. And she'd agreed to come and investigate it with him. But on the way to our camp, he was making advances on her, and he kept asking her if she wanted to walk down to the beach with him, where it's completely dark, there's no one there, and he could do who knows what to her. And obviously she said no. She declined every time. And she told us this. And so that helped us, because she knew that this guy was on some kind of drugs. He was not in the right mindset. So the first time he came, we were adamant that we didn't want to call the cops, because if we did, we figured the camp would probably be shut down because it's not a safe place. The fact that he came back a second time and he was still circulating and walking around the campsite, we thought, we got to do something about this. And we didn't want this young lady to walk around on her own. So basically, we said to this dude, we were just trying to pacify him, trying to calm him down. And we said, okay, everything's going to be all right. We want you to just go back to where you're staying and just have a good night's rest, and we'll deal with this tomorrow. And he agreed, and finally he left. And we had to basically convince him to go, because he wanted to bring the girl with him every time. And we were saying, no, she's fine. She's got, she's going to stay with us. So he went, and then we end up walking back with her to her campsite, because we didn't want to just let her walk in the dark on her own. And we were chatting, and we got her contact so that we could debrief about it the next day and discuss what happened. And then we said goodbye and we headed back to our camp. We get back to the camp and we decide, I think we need to call the cops, because he's still walking around roaming freely in this place. And there's no security in tents. If you don't know, if you're not much of a camper, you can't lock a tent door. So he can walk into any tent that he likes at any point and do whatever he wants at this moment. So we decided to call the cops. The cops are coming from Durian, which is up like another hour north. So we don't get the cops here. In fact, I don't think we got the cops at all. Now that I think about it, it might have been like hours later. But it was early in the morning. Ben and I end up crashing on the couch and falling asleep. But he grabbed his brother, who was one of the camp coordinators, one of the leaders, and had told him what happened. And then he grabbed the big dog camp coordinator and told him what happened. And yeah, then it was able to somewhat be resolved. It was reported at the very least. So that is what happened that night. We caught up with the girl the next day. We sent her a text and said, "All right, we're heading to the pools. Let's chat about what happened." So we find out a bit more information. We find out she was outside. She was just chilling out, minding her own business, and this guy comes up and tells her that there is suspicious stuff happening at the back of the campsite, that people are, I don't want to use the language that he used, but he told her that, and she was obviously outraged. She came down the back and investigated it, and it turns out that he was just a loony. So long story short, I am very proud of how we handled it, truth be told, especially as like 20-year-olds. When our leader was the one being targeted, we kind of had to step up and take control and make the best calls that we could. It was a very interesting situation to navigate, because we were trying to get him to go away, but we also didn't want to be forceful, because we didn't know, like, he was clenching his fist, He was ready to fight someone. So we were walking on eggshells, thin ice. And I thank God that he gave us the wisdom to know how to handle that situation, because things could have gone really bad. If he got into those girls, we have no idea what he was capable of. And I thank God that he also protected the young lady who approached us during the night afterwards and said, "Hey, what's going on here?" So that's the story of the day. I don't really know how to end these videos. If you're still here, why in the world are you still here? You've got work and study to do. You should get off YouTube. Other than that, we're going to be posting stories heaps and just trying to be authentic. So I suppose I will see you in the next one.